So, I mean, for me, I found out about the Lyceum. I was board chairing the Catholic Charities in San Antonio. We were trying to figure out how to meet people where they're at, get them to self-sufficiency. Part of this is like, if you don't have a house, that's one of the steps to self-sufficiency. So a friend said, hey, you should go check this Lyceum thing out. And I ended up at the conference in Waco. And
that was your first one?
That was my first conference.
That was my investiture.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, so that was my first conference, and came up to that and thought this organization was fascinating because of just all of the diverse backgrounds. And I'm a big believer that mix of backgrounds, you get better ideas out of that, and you can find the things you agree on and then go take those and run with them. And this, like, if we spend our whole life on everything we disagree about, for me, that's exhausting.
One thing that was fascinating to me that I enjoy, and obviously this is like something you have to do in advocacy, is that you really do need to know what all the angles and sides are before you can actually find a position in an issue. And that's kind of what the premise was, or is rather, of the Lyceum, is that we talk about both sides. And back then, when I first started coming to the conferences, they would have it to where you would ask an open question and there would be an entire discourse that was happening from both sides of the aisle. For me, you're talking about a tech bubble. I think about myself in a political bubble.
Yeah.
You know, I'm a Democrat, and so I end up hanging out with a lot of Democrats, and so I like being exposed to other people that it's not on TV, because that's clearly not real world.
No.
Well, and as I found out through you.
And the tech world is not real anymore either, and it's all now siloed. Like, your algorithm is different than what all the algorithms are going to feed me. So we're all living in our own sort of media reality. There's not a shared media anymore. And the forums the forums to get together to talk about a shared understanding of stuff is all going away. Like, forget even like political news and topics. Like, we're not even watching whatever Friends anymore. Like, it's not like Thursday night we all watch Friends and Friday we come to work or social places and talk about the latest episode. Yeah. Like, all of these ideas where you can talk about something, shared experiences, things to start a conversation in our society are all going away, and it's a bit of a weird mess.
Yeah, you know, actually curious, you talked about the Catholic Charities and your background with that, and I also used to do it from a different perspective, which is one of the things, actually, I don't think you even realized it, where I thought, this is so different, I never expected it. And this sounds ignorant, but that's what thoughts of bubbles are, right? Is that I thought Catholic charity people were all liberals because we're helping other people. Not to say that Republicans don't do that, right?
Yeah.
But just, I never saw it from that perspective, because I used to go in to do all the translations for these asylum cases. So I saw that part of it, and the refugee services and all the rest. And then we started discussing, actually our relationship is all over the gamut of the stuff we discuss, like housing, elections, my election case, not just elections in general.
For sure.
And just the political climate. And so I think that was probably one of the things to me that was very interesting for me to be like, God, what a dummy. Why did I think that you had to be a certain personality or person to be in an organization that both of us are working for a shared goal?
Yeah, I mean, this is, I think, that back to like our media and social and these sound bites of trying to get everything down into 8 seconds. They're trying to boil everyone down into red or blue, black or white, Sikh or Muslim or Christian or Catholic or Jew or whatever else. Like, we're all one little thing, and I think humans are more complicated than that, and the positions we take across all of these things are more complicated. So yeah, it's like, I mean, I think about stuff of like being involved in Catholic charities from a free market capitalist perspective. Like, if everyone is able to be a contributing member of society, then we're more productive as a society. So like, altruism can come from all sorts of different angles and reasons. Like, your internal motivation of why something matters to you and why it matters to me, if we care about the same what, like, we don't have to agree on the why. We care about the same what. We can go work on it together. And this is something I think that folks want to find out first. Like, what's your why? And if your why agrees with me, then we'll work on stuff. And to me, that seems backwards.
Yeah, and we talked about that too, right? Like, I have this idealistic view of the world in terms of like, I like the idea of having utilitarian, and utilitarian is where everybody's like happy and we're all working together. And you're right, we get caught up in the why. And when you say this is what my end result is, I just think it should go through the free market portion of it. And I say the opposite, but we're all saying that we want the end result. Why do we get stuck in the process?
Yeah.
Are we all that many type A people in the world to say we can't even start the process because we haven't figured out if we want to even go on this journey together, even though the end goal is the same?
Yeah.
It just is kind of curious to me that we do that to ourselves.
This campaign for civility this year, important, I think more important than ever, to figure out how to communicate with each other. My view, and I don't know that the current Republican Party is a complex organization, let's put it that way. But I mean, for me, I'm a big believer in states' rights, and the more local you can make government, the better. Because I think the more local you make it, the more refined the decision making can be. When you're doing something at a federal level, you have to think, how's this going to affect all 330 million people? If you can get it down to your small city that is 5,000 people, then you can be making a decision on behalf of those 5,000 people, and you can do it at a much more refined level. And this is where, as well with local politics, like you get down into San Antonio, people will say you have to raise money to run for city council. I'm going to call BS. You go knock on doors, and if you can talk to people and listen to people and let them know you care, that is worth infinitely more than sending them a flyer in the mail or running a TV commercial or any of the rest of that. So the more local politics gets, the more listening to your constituents matters. And at that point, you start hearing folks from all different backgrounds have an overlapping set of issues, and then you can go solve and move the ball forward. If you just focus on what are the issues that are going to raise me the most money, those are usually issues that are hot button things that are kind of just diametrically opposed to, frankly, good government and getting things done. So, yeah, I mean, for me, the more civil you can have on the discourse, and the more local you can make things, the more you can actually make things better.
So, in theory, we both agreed that our most emphasis or the most effective change that we can have is on the local level, right?
Yeah.
Especially because I see that, and you see that in our daily lives. But I do think on a federal level, and I think I told you this too. Yeah, I just feel like we should just say, why can't we say on a federal level, all 50 states should be nice to each other in X, Y, and Z way?
Yeah.
And then that way we're united on one front and we're all together and we're working towards a common goal. And then yes, of course, on a smaller molecular level, we can work on those nuances of how it happens. But to be this opposing from state to state, it just makes it so difficult for us to claim the same nation that we're in with so many different views and viewpoints. If I had to give a piece of advice to politicians so that they see civility and hear out people across the aisle, I would say that they should act like they're talking to one another as if the camera was off. Because the truth of the matter is politicians actually get along with one another across the aisle, and they have that civility or decorum for the most part. I guess it shouldn't be an absolute. And so if we just act like it's not going to be on a 24-hour news cycle or a quick reel, then I think we'd get a lot more commonalities and goals met than we do now.
Yeah, I mean, I think that for that one, I think that great ask to the politicians, and I agree there. Then I'm going to say an ask back to us as constituents. We have to reward the politicians that do that.
Yeah,
because if we don't reward them, and if doing that costs them their job, I mean, none of us like to do things that get us fired.
Yeah, fair.